Welcome in. We are talking about presence today. And presence is truly the basis of any spiritual practice, probably the single most important aspect of any spiritual quest. And it's really a moment by moment thing that we have to focus on. Because we're so bombarded by distractions that it's really difficult for us to keep a focus on our presence. And honestly, I think it's common that many people can go a whole day without ever being present, which is wild if you really think about that. So in talking about the presence today, the distraction is an obvious factor in our world today because we're so distracted by the phones and all of the things, right? Life in general. And the presence really is something that we have to work on consistently. It's sort of like a workout in the sense of it's a muscle, you have to build it. It doesn't just happen automatically. And I would say that when I struggled, when I started with trying to sit in presence, I really struggled with that. Really struggled with that. Having been in a state of fight or flight almost my whole life, I found it very difficult to sit still. It felt, to me, sitting in stillness almost felt threatening in my body. And that sounds kind of absurd, but truly I had moments of traumatic experiences in my life where I was sort of in that freeze state, which was what allowed me to be safe in a sense. But then my brain kind of got reprogrammed into thinking that stillness was a place of danger. And so I really struggled with sitting in presence when I first started my spiritual journey. And I would say that the main practice or idea that allowed me to slowly over time begin sitting in presence more and more and being just in a state of presence in my everyday life was the practice of aligning with joy or gratitude. And this is the card I pulled today out of my art card stash. And this one really is about being in alignment with that joyous song that is in your heart and in your being. And really, the joy, the gratitude, the love, those are all frequencies of God, which is why it allows us to more easily sit in a state of presence. They're sort of the keys to sitting in presence, being in a state of joy, aligning with the joy, aligning with the gratitude. aligning with love. And being in a spiritual practice, the presence being the main foundation of that life, I will say, is really what allows us to finally sort of, I guess I would say, it kind of puts you into a state of transformation, into a process of transformation, let's say. And this is where the transmute card comes in that I pulled. And transmute means to basically change or alter in form, appearance, or nature. And basically that's what happens when you begin a spiritual practice. You sit in that state of presence. It drowns out the distractions, and it really puts you in touch with your innermost beingness, your soul. And that is the essence of you, that is the spark of God, connected to God. And so the butterfly was a big part of today, in the grid today. Because once you bring presence into your life as a daily practice, and once you begin living your life in a state of more presence, it really does transform you and transmute you into an entirely new being. And like I said, this doesn't happen overnight. This takes a lot of practice. But the butterfly sort of awakens to a whole new world where it flies above all of the earthly distractions. And so if you think of yourself as a caterpillar, sort of, he's on the ground, on the plants, eating as much as he possibly can, really submerged in the earthly senses, the bodily aspect of the senses. I would say primarily distracted by his eating. And then when you see the process of that caterpillar, I would say the cocoon is this state of presence. The cocoon is the state of nothing else in the outside world is really affecting that inner cocoon, the part of the cocoon that caterpillar is now inside. And that's really what the presence does for your state of being. It really puts all those distractions that are continuously bombarding you all day, every day. It's suddenly as if you are in a safe space where nothing can touch you. And then eventually that cocoon begins to break open. It's the transformation has happened. That butterfly then, once it emerges from that cocoon, so I would say once we're emerging out of these earthly distractions, right? We commit to a presence as a daily practice. We begin doing this daily practice. Maybe you begin doing this practice and you practice for a year. Like I said, it doesn't happen overnight. But then eventually, after sitting in all of that time of presence in the cocoon, eventually you emerge as a whole new being. And I can only tell you this from my own experience. This is what helped me. This is what helped me transform from a person who continually had worry, anxiety, stress, all of these things. I wasn't embodied. I struggled day to day to keep my mind out of the past, out of the future. I was never really present in the now moment. And here I am today, and I can truly tell you that it almost really doesn't matter what goes on in the world around me, because I'm grounded within myself and I'm present. And that's sort of, again, in that cocoon space where nothing in the outside world really has the ability to affect you in the way it once did. Once you emerge out of that cocoon and you fly as the butterfly sips nectar from flowers. So again, it's that frequency of God. It's the joy. It's the gratitude. That's the focus. I would say that would be what the butterfly is sipping on. The joy, gratitude, the abundance, the love. And it sort of reminds me of a conversation I had with my son today. And I always tell my kids, follow the joy in your life. It's so important to follow the joy. When we force ourselves to do the things that we don't align with and we don't want to do, that is destructive to our being. It's that state of constriction again. And when we really can put ourselves in that state of presence where we are aligning with the joy in our life, aligning with the gratitude, aligning with the things we love, the dreams that are inside of us that we hope someday come true, taking the little steps towards joy, that's what eventually gets us to that place that we dream about. In our world today, we're bombarded with distractions, right? It's constant. Our phones, our TVs, all of the things that we have to do all the time, online banking, running the kids to soccer practice, whatever it is that you're doing, those things are all distractions. But you can also begin to look at those things in a new sense, in terms of, take doing the dishes for a simple example. And this is one of the things that I don't mind doing, the chores, because I now look at them in a different way than I used to. I used to think, oh gosh, I got to do this thing. I got to get this chore done. And now I really try to see that as, when I'm doing the dishes, I still do my dishes by hand because I prefer it. It's a time of presence for me. I get to sense the water on my hands and the soap and the warmth. I'm getting to clean dishes from the abundance of food that was brought into my life, that I was gifted with. And if you can begin to just look at the mundane little tasks in your life in that sense, it's very helpful to keep you in a state of presence. And really, again, today, this is another pretty simple and straightforward practice very difficult. It can be very, very difficult when you first begin trying to sit in presence. And of course, meditation, whatever you want to call this, but it's really about presence. And if 5 minutes a day is all that you can manage to fit into your schedule, start with that. 5 minutes, you'll be amazed if you begin 5 minutes a day. At the end of a week, you'll be amazed at how much better you feel. If you can go sit out in nature and do this 5 minutes, that's even better. But it is a huge key into transmuting your being into a higher sense of frequency, a higher state of being. Again, you're aligning with the frequencies of God. And that simple practice will transform your life. So that is really all for today. I just hope that you can all give yourself this gift of presence, because really that's what it is. It's a gift. And even if you can think of it as a gift, even though it might be really difficult when you first start, think of it as a gift to yourself. And one of the practices I used when I first started was lighting a candle. And you can put your focus on the candle. That helped me a lot when I first started sitting in presence. So do this thing for yourself. And let me know if maybe you've already tried sitting in presence. Maybe you do it already as a spiritual practice. Maybe you're new to it. Let me know in the comments if it's something you struggle with, if you've tried it. And leave a comment, like the video. Share the video if you know anybody that might find it useful. Subscribe if you feel so inclined, if you haven't already. And truly, truly thank you for taking the time to sit with me in this space. Give this gift to yourself. You won't regret it. Thank you so much. I'm sending so much love to all of you. And we'll talk soon.